Here again with another Breaking Bad Season 2 episode review video. Before I get into that though, pretty important if you weren't caught up to the point where I am a rewatcher, you're watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And for those of you that are wondering, I've watched this show many times over. Just wanted to talk about it again. So join me on the journey of rewatching or watching this amazing show and discussing it with me in the comments section. With that in mind, this is going to be Breaking Bad Season 2, Episode 12. The title of this episode is called Phoenix. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing rewatching the episode. Walt calls Skyler, but Marie answers. Skyler's doing good and the baby looks good. So Skyler, of course, has had her baby, Holly. Walt drops the meth over and then straight to the hospital to see Holly. Congratulations, Walt, Ted Beneke says. Walt holds Holly. Walt has a huge bag of money. And Walt actually puts the money behind the insulation in the laundry area. Jane and Jesse have been doing heroin again. Jane wakes up to her phone going off. It's her dad, Donald Margolis. She says she was in the shower. She overslept. She's running late, but she'll be there. And then Jane tells Jesse that someone broke in looking at what happened to the bedroom door. And Jesse gets up and sees the meth gone. And he panics a little bit, and then we see him look at his answering machine where it says 4 messages. Jane is at an NA meeting with her dad, Donald Margolis, and Donald says Jane looks tired. Are you getting enough sleep? Jane says no, she's working on a tat for someone that keeps changing their mind. He says he wishes she didn't work at that place. He also asks Jane if she's sleeping with the guy next door, and she asks, why would she get involved with a tenant? And then Jesse calls Walt and says he was robbed, and Walt just hangs up on him. So I guess actually I jumped ahead of myself. Jesse has not looked at the answer machine yet to see how many messages on there, because then he plays the answer machine message. And I don't think I wrote that in here, and I wanted to mention it. So anyway, Hank brings over Los Porros Hermanos over to Walt's for a dinner celebration. And Walt asks Hank about an alarm system. Hank and Marie actually volunteer to get it for them. And Walt shows Holly the money behind the insulation and says, that's right, Daddy did that. And then we, at some point, get the scene of Jesse looking at his answering machine with the 4 messages. And he comes to visit Walt at the school that he works at. Jesse says he listened to the messages and knows Walt took all the blue meth. And Jesse asks how much Walt got for the deal, and Walt says $1.2 million, $480,000 each, and Saul's cut is 20%, so that's what they have left over, because Jesse said $600K each. And Jesse wants to know where his money is, and Jesse says he's clean, and Walt's like, I'm not going to give you that. And then Walt says he wants Jesse to pee in a glass, and Walt mentions his little junkie girlfriend, and Jesse throws the glass at Walt, missing him and hitting the blackboard or chalkboard behind him. Walter Jr. shows Walt, Skyler, and Marie a site that he made where it's like SaveWalterWhite.com, where people can donate money to kind of put to his cause. And Walt, of course, doesn't want any charity. And Walt tells Saul Goodman he has so much money, but he can't do anything with it. And Walt says it cannot be blind luck or an imaginary relative that left it. And then Saul tells Walt he knows a guy that can filter in lots of donations to the website that Walter Jr. Created. And then Jesse does heroin again and tells Jane that Walt owes him $480,000. Jane's overslept again, and she tells her dad that she overslept on the phone and she's on her way. because her dad called. You thought her dad called her from the meeting, but actually, when she runs outside, her dad is waiting for her out there. Donald Margolis goes into the apartment and roughs up Jesse a bit. Nothing crazy, but pulls him out of bed. And Jesse actually grabs a baseball bat. And Jesse says, "I pay my rent." And Donald Margolis says, "You're going back to rehab." And then Jane says, "Thank you for not being judgmental 24 hours a day, because that's exactly what I needed, to be judged all the time." And Donald Margolis says he's calling the police. And Jane says she'll go to rehab tomorrow. And Walt and Skyler are laying down with Holly. And then one of Walt's students has called and wants a letter of recommendation. It's actually Jane of Jesse and Jane, Jesse's junkie girlfriend. And Jane says all Jesse wants is the $480,000, and Jesse told her everything. Walt calls it blackmail, and Jane says this is blackmail. So Walt puts some money into a duffel bag and goes over to Jesse's place. Jane answers the door. Jane tries to take the bag, and Walt says, "Jesse, not you. Nice job wearing the pants," Walt tells Jesse. Walt asks, "How do I know she'll keep quiet?" And Jane says, "I guess you don't." And Jesse says, "You'll never hear from either of us again." And then Walt says Jesse isn't seen straight. And then when Walt leaves, they talk about going to New Zealand. Jane says, "First thing we do is got to get clean." "We could do that, definitely," Jesse says. And then Walt actually goes to a bar, and in a weird coincidence, Jane's dad, Donald Margolis, is there. And on the TV, it shows that they found water on Mars. And cheers to water on Mars, Walt and Donald Margolis. Cheers to that. And then Donald asks Walt what did he have, because he knows that he had a baby. And he tells Walt that he has a daughter, 27 years old. And Walt actually asked him for advice with having a daughter. Love them who they are. And then Donald says, "You can never give up on family, never. What else is there?" And then because of those words, Walt goes back to Jesse's place. And then Walt knocks on the door. "Jesse, it's me. Jesse, it's me. I just want to talk." No answer. So Walt goes around back. And then he kind of breaks open the door, because he already messed it up earlier, and sees Jesse and Jane sleeping with all the drug paraphernalia around. It's obvious they're on heroin again. So Walt tries to wake Jesse up by shaking him, which in doing that moves Jane off of Jesse and then onto her back. So Jane starts puking, and Walt goes to help Jane, and then Walt hesitates. He doesn't do anything to help Jane, and Jane dies choking on her own vomit. My opinion, the moment Walt officially became evil. So Walt feels bad about the decision he made, and that's what ends the episode. So, had Walt not met Donald Margolis in that bar, we might have seen the end of Walt and Jesse's relationship, and Jane would still be around, and maybe Walt and Jane would have got clean and moved to New Zealand, but we don't know, because obviously things happened a little bit different. And yeah, that's one of the crazier moments on Breaking Bad. So I'm going to give this episode a 9.2 out of 10. Really good episode. Character of the episode for the females has got to be Jane. Really like Kristen Ritter on this show. It's unfortunate that she wasn't on the show very long. Just a handful of episodes, like 6, 5. And then, of course, she appeared in, well, I'm not going to give any spoilers in case you haven't seen anything else. And then my male character of the episode, well, obviously, Walter Hartwell White. He was pretty awesome. Although Jesse was good in this too, but Walt obviously is the main in the show. So you've heard what I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you happen to be a fan of Breaking Bad, which I hope you are, that you're watching this video, don't forget to Hulk smash that like button. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm, as YouTube tells me I don't get enough likes on my video. If I have 100 plus views, instead of having under 10 views, I should have 20. That's what they want. So if you watch the video, please give me a thumbs up, like the video. That's all I ask. Share the video. Okay, I'm asking more. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode. All I'm looking for is your general thoughts, your score of the episode, your male or female character, or just one character of the episode. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. you're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return once you get out of my territory.